Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. By the way, you might hear a little bit of noise on the side potentially. I do have the washer on, so I'm just saying it might make some noise in case you hear it. You know, that's what that is. For instance, I don't know if you hear that or not, but nonetheless, shouldn't be too bad. Let's jump into it very quickly. Tesla ended the day down. First of all, just absolutely, bloodbath of a day. This is why I always say Fridays I'm, usually bearish, not bullish. And this is, a decent example as to why. Pretty much the whole market is just blood red today. I mean, the QQQ, aka the NASDAQ, being down over 4% on an index is just straight brutality. The SPY being down 3.4%. It's pretty serious stuff, right? Just absolutely cataclysmic red candles just appearing almost out of nowhere, it feels like, right? But, this isn't really out of nowhere. I've been warning you guys this for a while. However, on the bright side, I guess it's, what little bright side there is, Tesla ended up only being down 2.7%, putting us at $288.08, which, I mean, is severely better compared to what the market was doing. The NASDAQ being down 4% means Tesla should have been down at least 6%, minimum 6%. So Tesla, definitely showing some form of strength today. Not really sure how or from what, but, it is, which is good. So let's get into it. So all in all, like I said yesterday, guys, I expected it to break to the downside, and that's essentially what happened today, right? We pretty much broke off to the downside. I have entered some bullish positions. I did sell 2 puts, and I actually love selling it now after the stock split, because even if I am wrong, about it, it's like I'm not forced to buy anywhere near as much as I would have to have bought if I was wrong pre-split. Because if I was, let's say I was wrong pre-split, I would be forced to buy $80,000 of Tesla or $90,000 of Tesla or something like that. Now, if I'm wrong, maybe 30 at most. You know what I mean? So relative to, of course, that it makes it a lot easier. So I feel like I can be a little bit more aggressive. But I did sell 2 puts. One quite aggressive, one a little bit less aggressive. I am expecting potentially more red on Monday. As usual, I say Monday tends to follow Fridays. Then I expect a nice little relief rally, probably for the week. And then I think after that relief rally, we're pretty much going to be going into straight pain territory. So all in all, let's take a look at Tesla on the daily very quickly here, guys. And then we'll go over a little bit more, in detail as to what I see. By the way, the chart did not update. I did remove all the lines up here and I redrew them here. I made it a little bit more cleaner, a little less messy, a little less, busy. I did forget one very important line, which is going to be essentially the overall trend that we are in, which is kind of that. And of course, we are still kind of relatively in this sort of trend right here. I want to do like this, something like this. I'll fix it after, but this is just a general idea, of course. Anyways, nonetheless, guys, so Tesla, taking a look at the major things that we want to look at, of course, being the 21 EMA, we have finally closed below it, could not hold above it anymore. That's, a little bit bearish, well below the white line now, slowly approaching the red line at this point, which I expect to potentially get a bounce off of the red line, which also coincides with this red line right here, which is that, little uptrend that we kind of broke out of, which did act as a resistance here and a support here and here. So I'm expecting a potential bounce. Pretty much what I think will happen, what I guess wouldn't be surprised to see happen, is a little bit more pain on Monday, and potentially fall down another couple percent or so. What is this? Maybe like 1 to 2% more, something like that, I would say. And then I expect a bounce somewhere between this 285. 284, somewhere in that general level. I expect a bit of a bounce, most likely a bounce that will come and retest this breakout that we just had, which we'll go over very soon, a little bit more in detail on a shorter time frame. It's easier to see it anyway. Nonetheless, we are below the white line in the Bollinger Band, and well below it too, obviously not showing really a whole lot of sign of buying pressure, let's just say that, right? The 50 moving average, of course, is still well above that, though I do expect us to come over here and touch this sometime in September, actually. I wouldn't be surprised. Moving along, 200 moving average, still getting rejected by that, getting slapped down quite aggressively, and of course, well below the 5 and the 10, which is short-term moving averages, right? So ultimately, guys, the chart is looking overall net bearish. That doesn't mean that it's just straight red from here. It's never that easy, of course, right? Sometimes I wish it was, but it isn't. So not only are the trends just really starting to be more bearish, I mean, I've been calling this for a while, but the RSI also still showing a lower low being made today, which isn't great because the stock didn't make a lower low. The RSI very much did. That is bearish divergence setting up. That is obviously, as the name suggests, bearish, right? However, on the bright side though, and this is where, the short-term potential bullishness comes in, and why I personally entered, some bullish positions. I sold 2 puts, which doesn't even equal if I sold 1 put pre-split, which is fantastic. I love that. It gives me so much more flexibility. So I'm very happy about the split, actually. Makes it much better. I thought it might be worse, but it's actually so much better. Anyway, So let's take a look at the 1 hour. This makes it a little bit more easier to sort of visualize, right? So pretty much what we're looking at is, we broke down from this overall trend that I was talking about that we were in, right? So we did have a nice little rally somewhere like around the morning, like I think it was like around 10 to 10:30 a.m. Eastern time when Powell was speaking, rallied up. I sold the put here, we rallied. And then as I saw this start sink back, I ended up buying it back, made like $100, whatever. It's not a lot, right? But whatever. It is what it is. Hey, $100 is $100. And then once we started selling off, I sold the put here. And then because I wasn't sure if we would actually continue selling off, I thought maybe we'll go sideways, but we continued selling off clearly. So I sold another put pretty much more or less roughly where we closed, actually around 288, maybe 289, somewhere like that. I did on my phone while I was out. But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing right now. And the reason I did that is because I personally expect, even though there's potential for a little bit more red on Monday, which if there is, they'll probably sell even one more put as well, even further down. However, the reason is because I'm personally expecting a little bit of a bounce, and I'll show you guys, several reasons as to why that is. Number one, taking a look at Tesla very quickly. Now, again, like I said, the daily is still very bearish, which tells me that the overall downtrend, or the trend, is still down, which again, I've been calling that for, like easily a week now, I think. But if we go to the slightly shorter time frames, like for instance, a 2 hour is a decent example, right? You can see there is a bullish divergence setting up, because the stock, when it came all the way down to around these levels of like 286, the RSI came all the way down to around 34, 33. The stock right now is sitting at 288, which isn't that much higher, or rather, it's essentially, it's very close to the lows over here, but the RSI is, decently higher than what it was down over here. So that's setting up what looks to be a bullish divergence. So what I want to see ideally is come down to maybe even 285. I want to see Tesla come down to 285 on Monday, somewhere around there, like I said. And I want to see, at the very least, the RSI not go lower than this low over here, right? So again, if you want to zoom in a little bit, you don't want it to go under like 34, let's say, roughly, give or take, right? You want it to hold above that, and ideally you want it to go somewhere higher, so maybe let's say like 36 or something like that, right? If we can go to like 36 and not go much lower than that on that kind of sell-off, that's, a beautiful little bearish divergence or bullish divergence setting up for the shorter time frame, which tells me that we're in for a potential bounce for like a week or so, until probably further pain ahead. And the same thing applies almost on any time frame. So the 4 hour is still looking bearish, but the 3 hours where you can see that bullish divergence slowly start to form. And as you go to the smaller time frames, it becomes a little bit more and more obvious, right? So 15 minutes not looking as obvious, but for instance, a 30 minute, right, as you can see here, pretty much on the same level. The RSI is still well above it, setting up a nice little bullish divergence. So I'm personally expecting that to play out, right? But on top of that, Tesla's not looking the prettiest in that sense. However, the SPY and the QQQ, even though they just completely crashed today, just completely plummeting, just absolute skyrocket downwards, I guess. Not really a sky, more like a core, Earth's core rockets. Substantially lower, but the RSI, beautiful little bullish divergence setting up as well. Let's go on the 1 hour, looks the best, I think, here, right? But as you can see, the stock, as it was over here, sitting at around 411, 412, or I guess SPY in this case, 20 on the RSI, and now we fell substantially below it. RSI is obviously, a fair amount higher. Nice little bullish divergence setting up, same thing, exact same thing on the QQQs, right? Which tells me that the indexes, even though they might have a tiny bit more room to bleed, I personally do expect a little bit of a bounce coming up relatively soon, but I don't expect it to be anything crazy. Again, ultimately what I called out, I think it was yesterday, or the day before, how we're setting up a head and shoulders, right? This being the shoulder, head, shoulder, same thing with the SPY, right? Shoulder, head, shoulder. We did break past the necklines for both of them, which is very, 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 very not good. It's quite bearish. So essentially what I'm expecting with this little bullish divergence on the shorter time frame to do for us is essentially to come back up and pretty much test the breakout, or I guess the breakdown in this case, of the neckline, which will put us somewhere in between 313 to 315, somewhere around that general level. I expect the QQQ to come back up, and for the SPY, pretty much come back up to around like 410 to like 412, something like around the lines of that is what I expect the SPY. And that I expect to be the little rally that we potentially get, and that could potentially be what lets Tesla to come back up to maybe come around and test like maybe, I don't know, like 290, 292, between 292 to 295, something like in that general range. It really just depends on when it happens, but somewhere around that range, I expect Tesla to come back up and retest the breakdown as well. Probably succeed on that, which is bearish, and then most likely continue further down. And ultimately, guys, in September, I'm expecting, pain. Let's just say that. So yeah, we'll see if I'm right or wrong. I personally think I will be right, mainly because the charts just suggest that heavily. Like on the daily, everything just looks incredibly bearish. Like this is just a straight rocket downwards, right? So it's not looking that great. So that's kind of what I'm expecting, guys. You know, we'll see what happens, of course, with it. But yeah, I'm overall net bearish as I have been for a while. I've just been waiting for moves like this to happen, so I can at least start making some money on selling puts. Again, I don't really mind getting assigned a couple calls here. I get, you know, buy a couple, you know, 100 shares of Tesla, because I am literally all cash at the moment, assuming these don't even execute and I'm not forced to buy. And then off of that, I will essentially be selling calls quite aggressively, actually, for a longer time frame. So to me, it doesn't really matter. I have, you know, regardless of this, regardless of the way this goes, I have the game plan, if that makes sense, and hopefully you guys do as well. But again, remember, none of this is financial advice. Make your own, you know, decisions, do your own research. Taking the final look on the weekly candle, you can see not the most bullish looking candle at all, you know, showing a pretty insane amount of selling pressure, pretty much arguably like an inverted hammer, which is a bearish pattern as well. So yeah, overall, guys, I have to say, like, you know, despite I personally believing that early next week, probably after Monday, maybe Monday if we're lucky, but after Monday, most likely Tuesday, and maybe for like a couple of days after that, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Thursday if we're lucky, could be like, you know, not too bad, but probably Tuesday, Wednesday at the very least. A little bit of green, and then after that, I just think we're just going to be pretty much getting some serious pain in September. So again, we'll see. You never know for sure, but that's kind of what I'm seeing at the moment, guys. We'll see if it plays out or not, but ultimately, thank you all so much for watching. And for September, my target for Tesla is honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see 250 for Tesla. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys Monday. Peace.